Hello, and welcome to the Wirecast, the video podcast of Wiregrass Georgia Technical College. Welcome to the Wirecast. I'm your host, Michael Williams. I'm excited today to introduce Mary Crawford, motivator, connector, tower of power, the woman of the hour, hardest working woman in South Georgia. So welcome to the podcast.
I appreciate all of that. Thank you very much. Goodness, no pressure with an introduction like that. I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
We're excited to have you. I've worked with you in so many different ways, it's hard to even know how to get started. You're on our board of directors here at Wiregrass. We work together on the WIN Academy. We're both serve on the South Georgia Leads board of directors. And then also you're director of Girls on the Run for South Georgia.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I feel like we're right in the midst of a world of opportunity, and it's great to be associated with all of those different entities. Super special to be on the campus of Wiregrass where it's all coming together. It seems like you guys are really doing a great job here.
Well, thank you. You were here. We had the Girls on the Run just a few weeks ago.
That's exactly right. Yeah, no, and the girls were excited to be here. They love seeing what's next, what happens after they finish their schooling, what are the opportunities that are out there, and it never fails. The grown-ups that are with them also enjoy learning about all the opportunities that are here. And I love the way you all had cheer stations around the course, and you gave the girls stickers. They take that information back to their homes and share that with their people so that the word is really out across South Georgia about the great work being done here on this campus and your other campuses.
Well, I'm biased, but I do think this is a perfect place to hold the event. I mean, we just got natural, tracks all the way through the campus. It's a beautiful campus.
The feedback is always terrific. The girls love it, and especially even on the backside with all the trees and that little bit of shade that they get for just a minute. It's a nice respite from the job ahead. A little bit of a hill on the backside, but they like it a lot.
That gives the challenge, though.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Well, I think when you say the word Girls on the Run, everybody has a vague notion of what that is. But can you just kind of lay out how the organization came together, what major goals and?
Absolutely, sure. Girls on the Run is a national program. We're across the whole country. We have 167 councils, and have even opened up some councils in Canada. So we're part of a larger movement. We can also say that we're part of the largest 5K series in the country, which is pretty terrific. So on those Saturdays in the fall and the spring, there are lots of girls that are reaching their finish line and getting ready for the next. The way that Girls on the Run is set up for girls in grades 3 through 8, it all started because they realized the lack of confidence that was impacting girls right at that age group, right at age 9. So in order to do something about that, the studies began. How can we be most helpful? What's that going to take? What does that look like? And thoroughly researched, went through all of that, came out with a few key components, like a small group with a trusted adult, and teaching them the skills that they are lacking at that point led to an increase in their confidence and their connections. So that when girls finish our program, when we survey them and they're grown-ups, we get great feedback saying things like 97% of girls know now what to do with their emotions. They know how to ask for help. They know how to go get the resources that they need. So we see the value, especially after COVID, in getting them connected with their world so that they're better equipped to handle what's coming at them pretty quickly, right? And the rest of elementary and middle school.
Even more important in today's society, I think my generation, we grew up, everybody's walking down the street, out of the house all day, playing with their friends, and
Sure.
with phones, and as you pointed out, COVID, it's so easy. Even adults, it's easy to go hide in a room and just scroll for a few hours.
That's exactly right. No, and we saved you a bib. We've got it ready for you in the fall, so we look forward to seeing you in
I want to
November.
come.
That
I'm
would be
going to make
great.
one very soon. I've
Absolutely.
got some girls that keep me on the run at home, and
I know
we're
you
in the
do.
thick of tennis season right now. But
Yeah, no, part of the program involves a running buddy, we call them. It's an adult that goes through the season with the girl, and they actually run the 5K with the girl.
mm,
And so that serves several purposes, not just to connect them to a grown up, but also to help that grown up be ready for the 5K celebration and to share in some of the lessons. So, just last week, I was at the grocery store again. This happens quite often. I'm reaching for something, and somebody sees me and says, "Mary, do you have just a second? I've just got to tell you, our daughter or our girl is in Girls on the Run, and she's learning about this, or I'm a coach and I have this lesson." It also is applying at my house. It's also helping us be more active, be more connected, and be more confident in all that we're doing is not just helping her. So that drop the pebble in the bucket kind of situation is true. It's really working in this program.
it sounds like it. I mean, I've learned just hearing from you, but I know the importance of physical activity on mental health as well. I didn't really realize the purpose of it had always been to help girls through that stage and to keep them socially connected. But all of the above just sounds like a recipe for good mental
I,
health, a good family dynamic, everything.
I always say I wish they'd called me before they named it, because
Mm.
sometimes we have to overcome that Girls on the Run name. A lot of people immediately meet me and say, "Mary, I'm not a runner. I don't think I can be helpful." And that's why we say run, walk, skip, hop, jump. It really doesn't matter. You've got to learn how to set a goal and how to complete it. For these
Right.
girls to be able to come to Wiregrass and take advantage of the programs that you offer, they have to understand what that process looks like, right? That's a goal in and of itself. And so if you kind of go along those same lines, this is what we're teaching them. It's not just about the running. The running is a hook. The running is fun. The
Mm.
running means at practice they're playing games and playing tag and doing other things that help to imprint the lesson in their head. So when they come back the next time and we say, "Does anybody remember what we talked about last time?" All their little hands go up and everybody wants to contribute, right? So it's resonating with them. It's sticking with them. It applies to their daily life. And the running is just the fun part of it. And you'll have fun in November when you're running also.
I will. I will. I'm
Promise.
looking forward to it.
Good, good, good.
And we had a former instructor on the podcast not long ago. It hasn't even aired yet, but he's gotten into running later in life, and that he was making the point. He does it first thing in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, "That's the hardest thing I do all day," and so every problem I have later in the day just seems minor. I mean, somebody cuts me off in traffic. Who cares? I ran 10 miles this morning, you know.
Love that.
And I've been trying to do more. I've been doing push-ups in the morning, but there's nothing in my day harder than jumping on that bathroom floor doing push-ups right till I open my eyes, you know. And so
And that's making a huge
it,
difference.
it makes
for
a
you.
difference in your mental health. You'll have a
Absolutely.
glow about you all day after
Yeah,
something like that.
You know, the studies are there that show that little bit of exercise or that lot of exercise, whatever you're doing to kind of challenge yourself a little bit, is
Mm.
making a tremendous impact in a positive way in your mental health. So I'm glad to hear about that, and also we'll save a bib for him as well. It's important for everybody to understand that the 5K is open to the community, and that is well designed. We bring the girls in, we put them in a small group, we introduce them to their team, and then we take that little team out into that immediate community where they're located, and they do a community service impact project, to show the girls this is how you fit right here where you are. You can do something good in your neighborhood, in essence. And then we take them to the 5K and we introduce them back into the community. And so it's important also for them to see that what they're doing is not only important. You have all these people cheering for you on the side of the road that you've never
Sure.
seen before,
Confetti
never
cannons
met you.
going off.
That's it. You have the mayor handing you a medal at the finish line, right? So it's great for them to see other people celebrating their success and their accomplishments, but it's also great for them to see how I can do this in front of other people. This is part of the confidence that they're gaining, right? They can get out and be a part of something bigger than themselves.
That's great. How did you get involved with it?
Well, it all came back to trying to create some space in our garage. Our children had grown up and gone off to college, and I thought this is probably don't have to keep every single childhood toy they have. There may be somebody else somewhere that could take advantage of these. And by creating that space, although that was I like to say that was a milestone for me and for my husband when he came home and said, "Where are all the things?" Right? but it created a little bit of space for me to be able to look out and say, how can I help others? Where is the opportunity for me to be involved? We enjoyed our children, we still do. How can I be involved and help more children? So I had done some work in the schools and enjoyed that, but of course that's limited a little bit to just one school or one area.
Mm-hmm.
And the regional impact of this program was going to provide the opportunity for us to grow and expand and reach more children. So there's something like between Bainbridge and now that we're all the way through to Hilton Head, there's something like 66,000 girls that could be a part of this program. And so to think that that impact could be felt is what drew me in.
That's
And I
huge.
thought
That's
that
a
this
big
is,
impact.
I'll
Yeah.
take this challenge. So it gets me up early in the morning, keeps me up late at night, wakes me up sometimes in the middle of the night. But it's all good because it's all helping to the more confidence we can inspire, the more we can connect these girls into their world and teach them some skills that they need, the better we're all going to be. The better student that's going to show up at Wiregrass, the better employee that these employers will be able to find. And like I said, the coaches and the families also benefit. So
Yeah, and the
it's
individual.
it's one of those win all the way around, right?
That's right. Well, we serve together on the South Georgia Leads Board of Directors, and there's committee chairs, and you're the chair of the Regional Leadership Committee, and I feel like that's the hardest committee chair. I can remember working on a SAC COC accreditation visit, and one time I was like chair of the QEP design committee, and then about 10 minutes later I realized, oh, so, okay, we plan everything, design it all, create it. This is the hardest committee to be on, and that's essentially what you do is plan out the entire event every weekend, every day.
It is. It gives me a great opportunity to get to know people that are out in the region. I really enjoy that. It gives me an opportunity to share what I do when I'm not doing South Georgia Leads work, which is kind of interesting. And committee work, I think, it keeps us on our toes, right?
It does.
It's the more people you involve, the better the committee is. And sometimes it's really difficult to come to a decision or to take action when you have that many people around the table. But I feel like it
Not that one
sharpens.
though. That's almost all unanimous.
Yeah, I feel like it sharpens our ideas. It really it keeps us from getting off track, from maybe getting in the weeds or wasting time on things that and also there's no way for us to all know everything that's happening in the region unless we involve people from that area. And so I'm doing the same thing with the Girls on the Run board. I'm trying to get people across the region on the board so that it truly is a regional representation. And that way we can be sure that we're reaching all the girls. So a lot of similarities between the South Georgia Leads regional program and Girls on the Run.
Well, I can remember going through the program myself and being amazed at some of the things in the region that I didn't know about. And I was a fully grown man. I mean, I should have known about it. I thought I knew all about South Georgia, but the culinary scene in Thomasville or even some of the industrial and agriculture in the western part of the state, in some of these really rural counties. But it's amazing what's in the ground and the kinds of irrigation systems they had. What can you share just some of the experiences that you helped design for this past cohort and give our audience an idea of if they've never been in South Georgia Leads, what's that look like? What do these little visits look like?
Oh, sure. No, we try to identify a place where we can go spend a day and go see kind of the latest, greatest, and the most tried and true, and the best of, and then also any ideas that are kind of right in the works, right? As we say in the blender, right? Getting ready to pour and set. And that provides an opportunity for other communities to say this may be something similar to what we're doing, but if we tweaked it just a little bit,
Yeah,
we
we can
might
make this
have
work
some
for us.
success here, right? And what I've really enjoyed seeing is the collaboration between classmates. And so when you get that many people involved and they get to know each other, they're very honest, which is I think that authentic vulnerability is an important key in leadership, right? To be able to say, we tried this and it
really didn't work for
us.
these reasons.
Right. But you know what? It might work for you. So let me give you that playbook and you take it and run with it and let's see what happens. Those are benefits that you can't get any other way. If you don't have a relationship and actually talk to people about what they liked and didn't like or what worked and what didn't work, but not everybody handles that news the same. So I feel like South Georgia Leads the atmosphere that we're providing is more of a growth mindset of come tell about what you're doing, share that. And you may even have a great idea that's really working that could even be better
Yeah,
if you
you might
see
get
what
feedback.
if you
Yeah.
see what somebody else is doing out in the region. Yeah.
Well, I thought it was interesting this year that the Coffee County trip was about tourism. And traditionally, if you were looking at our region, you would say, okay, we're going to do that in Valdosta. That's they got Wild Adventures, it's a bigger town.
Right.
But then these small towns can't duplicate, they're not metro regions, they can't duplicate Valdosta Lounge. So showing what Coffee County's done with the Martin Center and just that they've taken some assets that they had and aggressively pursued them.
Sure.
And they're never going to, I mean, they're not going to bring in, it's not Disney World there, but they are bringing in people from outside the community to enjoy their community.
Some might say better than Disney. Some might say you can get there in a big hurry. You can spend the day. It's not as expensive, right? And have a really great time. We were there before on the education day and saw lots of great things that they were doing, concerning education or pertaining to education. So there are lots of great things that are happening. I think the hardest thing is for the community leaders to pick. What do you want to showcase this time?
Sure.
Maybe
because they could do one on healthcare, like you said,
that's exactly
education,
right.
manufacturing, a lot of manufacturing in Coffee County.
Yeah, but that they have an amazing airport. I mean, they have lots of other resources that they are using. So just in casual conversation, I think lunch on the South Georgia Leads Day is maybe one of the best parts of the program, because that's when everybody's been out walking around and seeing and doing, and we really sit down and share some food and talk about, let's get down to the crux of the matter. I feel like that's when a lot of progress really happens.
Well, I like to go to concerts at the Martin, and they're pulling bigger and bigger acts, and they pulled a couple that have fallen in love with that venue, and they come back every year. And so I saw Blackberry Smoke there one time, and then it was a year later, and I knew they were in town. I didn't go that night, but I was having lunch with my family at the Mexican restaurant, and I saw all these guys. I was like, these guys came into town to go to that concert.
Yeah.
And so I walked over to the table to talk to them. One of them had flown in from Finland.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
anecdotal. Matt Seal, if you didn't know that, you hear it for the first time on the Wirecast. But yeah, somebody flew to Douglas, Georgia from Finland to go to a concert.
I hope he got a T-shirt and a bumper sticker. That's terrific. Music to me is an easy invite. It's something that binds the community. And so, I mean, I know like we've had conversations about the Valdosta concerts and what that's done for Friday night, bringing people back downtown. I think Matt's doing the same thing with his concerts, getting people together to enjoy music. Tourism wise, I think is always a win. You're always going to be able to draw a nice crowd, and showcase what you've got going on.
And if you've got a beautiful downtown, people like the Bluesberry Festival, people want to come down there and enjoy it and walk around. Right. And that's almost the mark of if people aren't walking around your downtown area, you're missing something, I think.
For sure. No, if you have some food and have some music, I think people will come. So you show the hospitality, roll out the red carpet, and I think you've got something.
What's another notable one that you've done in the last few years that comes to mind?
Goodness, well, we always enjoy going to Fitzgerald. Ben Hill is always a good example of what works, what doesn't work, what they thought would work, what might be coming to work, and they've got some opportunities there that they are pivoting, talking about. We thought this was going to be a great idea, and now it maybe looks like this is going to be a great idea, which provides room for maybe we rethink this. And I think a lot of communities kind of see pass or fail. Like we tried it, doesn't work, we're not doing it again. And I always feel like Jason Dunn is a great one to say, maybe we just need to look at it from a different
angle. Try it from that way.
Right. So that's one of the fun trips that we've taken. Not often long enough there to spend the night, but sometimes just as a pass through, just spend the day with them. Lots to be learned. Well, and a beautiful downtown.
It is, and they've done the same thing with the Grand Theater, and they're playing movies in there, and they're known for those brick streets. People call them cobblestones; those are bricks.
They are bricks,
but they're ancient streets, and they look amazing, and they've kept them up, and they've got some nice eateries down there. That's a great place to be out and about.
Sure. No.
And if you want to see wild chickens, so.
Always worth the trip. I do think that there's a lesson to be learned for preserving the old, for the historic value, especially in tourism. And that was something this year's class was surprised to see. Several people said, I think we had this at one time, or we could have done this, and maybe something got torn down or didn't get protected. And so now it's become something else, something other. But you can't recreate the old. And
No, you can't.
Nothing here really in our country is as old as some other countries have it, and so that is the gem, and marketed well, I think, is a real draw for people.
Well, and I noticed the Ag Day in Nashville, even though it's Ag Day, you're learning about other stuff. I mean, we learned about manufacturing, all kinds of things, but I was just sitting there talking with Hayden and seeing some of the buildings that have been restored in downtown Nashville recently, and they've done a fine job with that. It looks
It's
great.
beautiful. That day didn't want to end. When we took the class there, everybody had a really great time. They just opened some new establishment on the square, and that's where everybody gravitated to, and that's where we ended the day. And even I think after I left, there were several class members that stayed and were enjoying that time together. So it's
That's a good sign that you're doing something right.
Peaceful feeling downtown. They're not rushed. They're not rushing people in or out the door, which is really nice. So that welcome mat, I think, is extremely important.
What else? What do you want to talk about, Mary? You're involved in so many things. How about your work on the board of directors at Wiregrass?
That's a very good topic. I wasn't exactly sure when President Clements asked me to serve how I could help. I do think it's helpful for me to bring people to campus when we schedule these Girls on the Run 5Ks on campus. I really enjoy that time, but I'm constantly surprised when I'm out in the community how well you all have opened the doors. Talk about putting out the welcome mat. And now that people are learning that I'm on the board, they've said, is there any way you can get me in touch with? And usually my hands are full and I'm juggling all types of things. And I say, if I can just get to my cell phone right there, I can get Michael Williams on the phone. I think he can help you. And you all, of course, answer the phone and get right to work. So I think that's really important. I'm not sure that you're fully realized the potential of how much you all are helping and how much more you can do for the community. So it's been really fun to be able to stand on the corner and shout out all the good news that Wiregrass is here to help, and just let me get to my phone. Let me get to my phone and get the word to them that you're trying to get in touch with them, because I feel like y'all can do everything. It's
and we don't like to say no, and it's nice. President Clements feels the same way I do, and we aggressively pursue every opportunity, and it's nice to work for somebody like that, and then to be supported when you are reaching out. So
Exactly.
we like to do the hard stuff.
So I don't know. President Clements may say she wished she might have second thoughts on whether or not she wanted to hear from me all the time, but I do feel like I'm constantly asking you all, how about so and so? Can I connect you with so and so? And then the feedback I'm getting from the community is, thank you so much. We are so glad to be connected to Wiregrass. We just didn't know who to call. So I kind of feel like that's the same with with South Georgia Leads. That's the same across the region as far as development and progress. That's the same connecting Wiregrass to the Girls on the Run. It's the connection is so key. If you know who to call, then progress can happen. Your question can get answered. There's not an insurmountable task that sits in front of us.
They're smart people, and they're willing to help. They're servants.
That's right. There just aren't enough billboards in the right places, and so we're such a wide region. It's different from a major city to our north, where you might see that more people might see that billboard more often. So I think it's important to be able to say, yes, here's your connection. Go with it, and y'all are not wasting any time, which is really terrific.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I really have. Hope I've been helpful.
You've been great to have on the board, and it's great to work with you on so many boards, and you're one of those people that I don't know how you get any sleep. I'm sure there's something every evening, and like you said, you probably a cell phone in each hand.
That's exactly right. No, we enjoyed our spring 5K out here. It was terrific, and then we went back to the office and we repacked all the supplies and we took off to Savannah, because now that's in our region as well. So we had a 5K this past Saturday, and it was a lot like what we had done at Wiregrass and totally different at the same time. So it's the program has doubled in size, and I think the same thing will happen for South Georgia Leads, and I know you all are seeing the same thing here as enrollment continues to increase.
Yeah, it's a great time to work at Wiregrass.
Exactly. So the potential, right? The opportunity exists. I think it's just a matter of us getting up early and taking advantage of the resources that we have. So I'll sleep later some other time.
Well, thank you for your tireless service to our region.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate this opportunity.